to Sew Chatty, a podcast about sewing and textile arts. I'm the host, Tabitha, and this podcast is sponsored by the Reading Fashion Alliance. And we're going to talk about Reading Fashion Alliance's second annual gala. Yay! So, ladies, want to introduce yourselves and tell me a little bit about your sewing journey?
So I'm Jayne Kearns. I'm the co-executive director of Reading Fashion Alliance, and I also own Gold Coast Goods, which is primarily a neckwear and accessories company, but this year branched out into some women's career wear as well.
That was very exciting.
It was very fun.
And my name's Marcella Brown, and I've just been sewing most of my life, and it's just part of who I am.
Very cool.
Currently, I'm the head costumer at the Cascade.
That's also very cool.
Yeah, so it's a great journey. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My name is Jayne, and I've been sewing. I took my first beginner's sewing class here at the Reading Fashion Alliance, and that was 3 years ago, and I've been sewing since. And I just debuted my collection at the fashion show this year, which is both men's and women's wear.
That's very cool. So Jayne, tell me a little bit about what was different between this year and last year and the different challenges you faced. Was it more difficult?
Well, in some ways it was actually a little bit easier because, last year was, as our first one, it was, going in everything. We were kind of creating it all from scratch, from what is Reading Fashion Week going to look like? What are we going to do? What's the logo, to, gathering all the designers and getting people involved and kind of setting that whole thing up. So in this year was easier in some ways because some of those pieces were in place, but was also a much larger production this year. So we had 12 designers, we had 63 models, we had 66 looks go down the runway, and so it was quite a big event with hairstylists and makeup people and really putting on a major production. So
what was the different? What was this? What was the decision process behind swapping out having the fashion show at the end of the week opposed to the beginning?
Really, it was about dates and timing. And we wanted to give it a try this year, and it's also about trying to look for the community about what else is happening and trying to make sure that we have a balance and we're not competing with other events that are going on as much as possible. I mean, it's always good when there are lots of things going, and there always are a lot of things going on in Reading, but we really wanted, and we also wanted to line it up with New York Fashion Week. So,
cool.
So that's what we did. Thinking about it, there's some pros and cons to having it be the start versus having it be the end of the week. And so that's a thing that we're looking over and seeing about what we'll do for next year. But likely go back to having that as the big closing gala of the week.
I thought it was kind of cool because then you had the opportunity for Shop Local if you wanted to go buy that look you had seen. You could.
You could.
Yeah. So how did you ladies hear about the fashion show?
I was actually called and asked to be in it.
Oh, cool!
So that was really a really nice surprise and an honor. I mean, it's kind of hard to get your name out in Reading. It's but it's out there. Just probably from my costuming and many years of doing wedding as well.
I was asked to be in it as well by Jan, and initially I had said no because I wasn't sure where I would be, or even if I would be able to come up with 3 to 4 looks. The required 3 to 4 looks, because I was just a beginner's sewer, and so then I realized, I think this would be a really great opportunity to debut my collection here, and so I said yes.
And then you had the biggest collection in the show.
Yeah, they just kept coming.
Yeah, it was unexpected. Very.
So have you ever designed for a fashion show before?
Mm-mm.
No?
No.
Not even like a bridal one?
Well, I've done things for bridal, but it wasn't like
Like
a show. I was just in my own little booth or
Oh, cool.
so.
Yeah.
But I designed for the theater, so it's
Mhm.
pretty much the same. And then I go through the whole process of being backstage in the green room and making sure everything is
Looks
perfect when it gets out there on stage.
Mhm.
So this wasn't new to me as far as that goes, but it was crazy. There was a lot of people.
Yeah, that was definitely crazy.
I think our cast is usually 30 at the biggest, and then like she said, there was like 60 something models back there.
So by the time we got everybody together, I think we had probably close to 80 people back
Yeah.
here, all at one time, and trying to get everything set and ready to go, and it worked really. It was great because everybody just knew what they needed to do. I think that's another thing that made it in some ways. There were some people that had participated before, but
Right.
we also had more. We had a backstage production manager. We had some other pieces in place that really helped us keep it really organized, because you just have to in order to do it well.
Yeah, that many bodies in a space.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Right.
I designed for, it's a School of Creativity conference
Oh,
at Bethel Church.
Mhm.
And I actually made my first men's jacket
Oh, nice.
for the fashion show there, yeah. So that was, I think, almost 2 years ago.
Okay, very cool. Jan, tell me a little bit about designing for women this year.
Well, when I started sewing, when I, just as a hobby, and when I was a kid, I sewed for myself,
Yeah.
so I certainly started by, and probably the majority of the things I've sewn over my life have been for women, although I've sewn a lot, and Gold Coast Goods started, as you know, as a menswear, when my daughter and I collaborated on that to do menswear and accessories. So this was kind of coming back to that a little bit, and it was also, I was really inspired by the women in this community and the number of professional women that are here, and the fact that there aren't necessarily a lot of places here locally where you can buy really nice kind of career wear. So it was that's specific. It's a little more casual environment, I guess, in Northern California.
Yes.
So, and then the other thing is that I was inspired to kind of get back to working on some of my tailoring skills, which I haven't done in a really long time, and it was certainly the most challenging part. But anyway, so it was a challenge to myself to really do something that was complicated and complex, and so that challenge really kind of actually kept me going with it as well.
Very cool. So did you guys all have a design process for getting ready, kind of like a concept you had that you wanted to start from?
I hadn't done bridal for a while, so
Oh, okay.
it's been like 15 or so years.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, how fun would it be to do 3 pieces,
Get back into bridal?
and especially to address one of the biggest complaints I had, and that was all the train and the this and all of that. They love their dresses, but they panic. Like, what am I going to do? How am I going to be able to dance?
Mm-hmm.
So all of my pieces, things came off so that they could just be ready to dance and have fun. And
Very cool.
so, and was very well accepted. Like, people were really liking that. So,
That's cool.
yeah.
My design process is a lot of prayer. No lie, a lot of prayer. And I actually got my collection name before I had really a concept of what I wanted to do, and that was The Prodigal Child Returns. And I knew I wanted to tie my faith into my first collection. And so with my first collection, it was interesting because I didn't sketch any.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't sketch, and that's normally the process. It's step by step.
Mm-hmm.
But with this, I just felt to just design as I go and create as I go, and I feel like I work best that way, creatively, because it's less restricting and it's more spontaneous. And so I would actually get downloaded images in my head of what I wanted things to look like, and then I would start sewing it and putting it together and getting the materials for that. And so yeah, that was a really interesting, not having to go through the sketch and then coming from that, being able to make something come to fruition. So it was really design as you go.
Definitely unique.
Yeah, it really was.
I started with sketches of everything, so you know, and kind of thought about colors together and patterns together and all of that, and then, but it was interesting because in the process, you know, there's all that creative stuff that kind of happens as you go, and happens. You know, that was one of the fun things about working here, is that there were 3 or 4 of us who were kind of in and out a lot, and so just that all of a sudden you kind of think of something new, or somebody come in and go, oh, in the middle of the night, this is what I thought of, and then it went off in another direction, and it was really, so things didn't end up the way that I thought that they would, and I think everybody's collections kind of went that way, but it was just, it was fun to have that kind of, but for me, I needed a roadmap. I couldn't do it. I couldn't just, you know, think about it and then create it. It was fun to watch you do that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's just nice to have that creative flow and energy when you're working with other designers, and to just kind of, you're bouncing off each other without realizing that you are. But even to watch their process as well and see what they come up with was just really special.
That's cool. Yeah. That's why it's important to have a maker space and kind of do things.
How about you? How did you process work? Did you design it first?
I did, because that's the way I've always been. Sometimes I'll just have things in my head and do it, but I wanted it on paper so I could see it, you know, and be able to follow, even though it didn't come out exactly like my picture, but it very close to what I drew. So
cool.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite part of being a show?
I think for me is just seeing my stuff come down the stairs and just watching it. I mean, it's like so surreal. Like, wow, they're really walking down the, you know, they're in your stuff. You really did that, you know.
It's no longer on paper.
Yeah. Yeah. And just seeing the people's reactions to it all. Not just mine, just watching them. They were just overwhelmed with, you know, but that's Reading. Reading is not used to stuff like this.
That's true.
You know, when you're from, like me, born and raised in the city, gosh, I mean, you have all this kind of stuff. You've got opera, you've got the theaters, you've got, you know, fashion show galores, and, you know, so young people up here are just like, wow, what are we gonna do? You mean we're not gonna do a fashion show for our horse, or, you know? You mean my horse can't be in it? So it's, you know. So giving them culture, I think, is just so important in this town, because they need it. They really do.
People loved it. I mean, they had such a lot of fun. I think one of the things for me, all that, you know, and the excitement ahead of time and watching it happen, and, you know, and not just for my collection, but really for the whole event. And Robin Fator, who's the other co-director, was the one who really produced the show, and, you know, how it was going to work, and, you know, choreographed what everyone was going to do. But it was just really also really fun to see people, after it was all over, stay and have fun and enjoy themselves, and, you know, the amount of really just just a great, the whole evening was just a great evening.
Well, the other thing is there's nothing in Reading to really get dressed up for.
True.
So this was another nice event added to Reading, so that people could look forward to it. Like, oh gosh, we get to dress up again.
Yeah, not everyone gets invited to weddings to dress up for.
Right. Well, there's not many other things to dress up for,
True.
so it's kind of nice.
It was fun.
Yeah, Reading is very casual.
Very.
So I think some people.
Sometimes I feel very overdressed.
Me too.
I show up to places and I'm like, ooh, okay, I better go home and change. But it's just who I am, so I'm not going to change.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I've had that too, where I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm a little overdressed. No, I'm fine.
Yeah.
They're used to it.
Yeah.
An interesting experience, definitely, because this was the first year I've ever modeled, and just to walk down and not trip was fantastic.
Oh, right. I know. I was really proud of the designers that were modeling. I'm thinking, oh gosh, no, I couldn't do that. There's just no way.
I don't
Walking
know.
down those stairs in those 3.5 to 4 inch heels were just, whew.
Yeah.
I was not one of them.
For me, it's like I don't know that many people who are willing to model. So if I did put together a collection, I would have to model myself. So it's like, how many friends do I have that would be willing to show up and put themselves out there? Not many. So So I definitely applaud those people too.
Yeah.
What was the most challenging part of designing for the gala?
I think for me it was making sure it was really going to get done. That pressure and the just making sure that it was really going to get finished. And I picked my models before I made their outfits, and so I really made them for them, and people with a wide, very different range in terms of body style and body type, and so there were a lot of fittings, and there were a lot of kind of making things right. And I had one model who lost a tremendous amount of weight from the start of it to the end, and I was saying, start drinking milkshakes, do not lose any more weight. So some of that, so that was, I think that for me was part of the challenge, was making sure they really fit well. So
yeah, I also picked my models early and designed for them, so that way I knew that it was going to be okay, and I didn't have to worry about
trying to
I actually did the opposite. I designed, and then I thought, I'm gonna pick the models and they're gonna fit my designs. And a lot of it did work out, but I did have to do a few alterations. I don't know if I'd recommend going that route, but but it did. I was surprised at how well some of the outfits actually fit the people that I had picked after the fact.
Right, you were lucky.
Yeah, so it was.
Well, at the end, I was told when I came in, I had kind of a oops moment.
Oh no.
They told me that I couldn't, I had the two models. So when I went in to meet with, Robin and Jan and show them my designs, they're like, so who are your models? And I told them I had 2. And they're like, oh no, you have to have 3. I'm like, oh my goodness. And at that point, I know that all of the models were taken. And so I guess a couple people signed in late. So I happened to find one that was just about the same size. So it worked out. She was just shorter, a lot shorter, but.
That's fixable.
Yeah, so I did it, but I mean, I was like, what? What do you mean we can't go in and
that's right, because you were going to have one person change. But there wasn't.
I didn't know how it was going. Yeah. I wasn't sure how it was.
That's right.
I didn't know that all 3 of our designs went at once.
Yeah. That would have definitely been a very quick change.
Yes. But it worked out. And the model that I found at the last minute, she was beautiful. It worked out, but it was a little nerve-wracking that first week, or because it was getting really close. We were like a week away, and she was very willing to come to my house, and
That's sweet.
try it all on and everything. So
It was kind of funny when I showed up and I met all the other models for Jayne, and they're like, "So how do you know Jayne?" I'm like, "I filled out an email application." It works.
no, yeah,
Yeah, it was fun.
that was fun. Yeah.
So what advice would you give to other designers, both young and other ages, who have never designed a show before?
In terms of being a designer in a show?
Yeah, for if, like, say, if you wanted to give me advice for designing for next year.
Oh.
Start now.
Yeah, start now.
I think it's, kind of thinking just like anything else. It's being able to kind of plan ahead and make sure that you give yourself enough time and know that it's going to take a little longer than you thought it would.
Okay.
Because, I think for all of us who sew, you kind of know, I can whip something together. I can, if I've got something going on, I can get it done by next weekend. But it's different because there's a whole process.
Yeah.
And you really have to go. So I think that would be give yourself enough time to do it and not feel panicked about it.
For sure. But I have to tell you, I've already designed for next year. So.
For you. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I think. I just have one other thing, and that's the first year I had designs in it, but it wasn't like I had designed a collection specifically, which I did this year. So that was different for me. But I think the other thing is, if you had asked me a year ago, would you design, or are you a designer, or do you, I would never have thought of myself that way, or thought that I could have done it. And you really, if it's something that you like, you can just be a great adventure to do, and you have more than you think you have, So that was another thing.
Yeah, that's good. I would say just to know your limits, but to also be bold and to take risks, because sometimes you don't realize what you're capable of until you're actually going through it, and not to let that fear hold you back. Because for me, I was scared. I thought, how the heck am I going to come up with 3 to 4 designs in 2.5 months?
Yeah.
And I ended up coming out with 18.
Wow.
And that was surreal. When we did the final review with Robin and Jen, I had this moment where I was looking, because it was the first time I had all my clothes together. And I had this moment of, I can't believe I did that. Like, I cannot believe all that came out of me. So really just to step past that fear and not to overthink things, and also to stay in your lane. I think in this, in the world in general, there's a lot of competition, but we all carry something so unique, and there's no other you. And so what you create is always going to be different. So just to keep looking straight ahead rather than over and over, unless it's going to be encouragement. So that would be my advice to up and coming.
That's the one thing that's really cool about the Gala is last year and this year is always so eclectic. There's always something different, whether it's bridal or leather. It's really a unique blend, and it's really cool to see everyone's thoughts and takes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So much variety.
Yes, for sure. Well, do you have any kind of last-minute panic horror stories you want to tell, or any other kind of stories?
Well, I actually didn't get 2.5 months to do it.
No,
I don't even think I had a month. They had called me and said, "Hey, do you want to do it?" And Robin says, "Yeah, can you send me pictures?" Oh, sure.
The heat is on. Are you ready?
Yeah. So I just sketched up some stuff and sent it over, and she liked it. So it was nice. But no panic moments. I think I work better under pressure anyway. So.
Some people do, some people don't.
I definitely, my best work comes out that way. So it's,
That's awesome.
yeah.
And I think the only other thing I would want to say is for people, if they think it's something they want to do and just want to kind of talk it over, is to come in. Come in and see us and talk with some folks and kind of get a sense of what it's like, and because that's really why we're here. Is we're really here to encourage people and to provide that both help in just technique and support, as well as kind of the emotional. Yeah, you can do it. Kind
Springboard.
Of support. So springboard. So yeah, really just because there's so much talent in this community, and we've really learned that a lot. So
that's why you're doing the Lunch and Learn, right?
That's why we're doing the Lunch and Learn, October 26th, right? It's really our first opportunity, and we hope to do it if people want it, kind of on a monthly basis through this next year. But really to learn not just what people liked and didn't like, but really what people need and want, and how we can support designers and makers in this community to have what they need.
This community is so hard too, because I've owned my own store. I've had multiple different eBay, Etsy's, whatever, and it's hard.
It is, yeah.
It's really hard.
Well, it's nice to be able to have other people to connect with and
spread the word.
I think networking is half the battle, and sometimes you're like, social anxiety, do I want to go? I should go.
No, that part doesn't bother me, but it's like, kind of like what Jayne said, that, you have to stay in your own lane, and you can't like compete or copy. That's one thing in Reading that it's for sure.
You don't want to step on anyone's toes.
No. But then if they really like you, they like you. But I just have never found that right
niche.
The niche yet to get my stuff out there.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm satisfied with what I'm doing, but it sure would be nice for someone to call and say, hey, I need this, or,
Yeah. But have the demand for the supply.
Right. Of course. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I have a question for you, Tabitha.
Okay.
I know you're a designer, but how was it, because you were one of my models, and you did an awesome job.
Thank you.
How was it being on that end? Like now you've kind of had a taste of both. What do you think the differences are, and how was that experience for you? Being on the other side.
Well, it's interesting. I always think of myself as more of a maker than a designer. But for me, it's kind of like, okay, people have come up and told me in random situations for most of my life, like people at the bank, the grocery store, you should model.
Yeah.
You must be really good at it. I'd rather design than model. So I was like, why not? I can volunteer again this year. I can model. It was definitely kind of nerve-wracking. I did theater for a little bit. I've always been kind of like, do I want to put myself in the limelight situation? So for me, that was more nerve-wracking, and that was what was going through my head more than like, okay, it should have been more like, how do I do this justice? How should I pose? And it was more like, okay, don't trip. Which I did, but it was more like towards coming back through the door, and no one saw it. It was like, okay, there's a cable taped on the floor. Did I see it? No.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's definitely different, I think, than designing something and then modeling it myself. To kind of understand what your design and concept is, and trying to broadcast that is definitely different. But it was fun. It was nerve-wracking.
Yeah. You did an excellent job, though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But it is another way of networking, like meeting people and moving people around, and it's fun. We'll see if I do it again.
Well, she's designing this year, so
He's saying, when are you ready? And I'm like, okay. So we're sketching now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So where can people find you on the internet if they want to get a hold of you?
Well, they can connect to any of us through www.readingfashionalliance.org. I have Gold Coast Goods, and I have, if you Google it, it will pop up there. It's goldcoastgoods.com.
I do not currently have a website, but you can find me through Facebook and the Alliance, the theater.
That's where I found you, Facebook.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook.
I am currently working on my website,
Very
which will be www.janeu.com.
Okay.
So it'll be up and running within a month.
Okay. Do you want to spell that?
I hope. Oh, Jayne and then yu.com.
Okay. Very cool. So thanks for watching. We're at So Chatty on the media, so Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I also have an email at sochattypodcast@gmail.com. Please subscribe, comment, give us a like on all the medias. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay sewing.